The Simpsons has long been celebrated for its uncanny ability to blur the line between satire and prophecy. Over the years, it hasn't just entertained millions, it's eerily foreshadowed some of the world's biggest technological, political, and societal predictions.
Can you hold a sign?
You know it!
$150?
Woohoo!
Here are 33 times the show looked into the future and weirdly got it right. Colonization of Mars. In the Marge Ian Chronicles, Lisa and Marge volunteer for a mission to colonize Mars, aiming for a 2026 departure. The episode satirizes humanity's obsession with space colonization, while also questioning whether humans are ready to replicate Earth's problems elsewhere. The mission is portrayed with a mixture of excitement and dread, as characters wrestle with isolation, ethics, and the enormous responsibility of becoming pioneers of a new planet. This aligns hauntingly well with Elon Musk's real-world goal of beginning Martian colonization by mid-decade. NASA, too, has announced timelines for crewed Mars missions within the 2030s. As space agencies and private companies edge closer to interplanetary travel, this prediction may move from animation to history books. Flying cars. In future drama, viewers are transported to a world where personal flying vehicles zoom through city skylines. This fantastical technology was portrayed as messy, comical, and dangerously congested. Yet that's not far off from current conversations surrounding air mobility. Today, several startups and aviation giants are investing in VTOL technology, drone taxis, and personal air vehicles that resemble those seen in the show. While we still face major obstacles, battery life, safety regulations, and traffic control, progress is undeniable. The Simpsons added a layer of satire to the future of transportation, but also eerily hinted at the logistical nightmares we may face when the sky becomes a highway. Virtual reality overload. Friends and Family showcases Springfield consumed by virtual reality. Homer becomes obsessed with a headset that simulates a happier, artificial existence, causing him to neglect real-world relationships. In hindsight, the episode feels like a direct commentary on our current trajectory. VR headsets like Oculus and HTC Vive have transformed entertainment, and corporations are pushing for fully digital workspaces. We are already seeing a blurring of lines between digital and physical lives. The Simpsons delivers a playful yet poignant warning. When digital fantasy becomes more appealing than reality, we risk losing our grip on human connection, purpose, and truth. Artificial intelligence and automation. In Itchy and Scratchy Land, what begins as a fun theme park adventure turns into a robotic nightmare when the animatronic staff revolt against humans. Though exaggerated, this reflects genuine fears about unchecked AI development. As artificial intelligence grows in capability, from self-driving cars to customer service bots, ethical concerns grow louder. The show imagines a future where over-reliance on machines backfires dramatically. It's a classic dystopian tale told through comedy, yet it mirrors debates from Elon Musk and AI researchers about the potential existential risks of artificial general intelligence, AGI. Will AI liberate us or destroy us? The Simpsons raises the question in the most animated way possible. In the iconic episode Bart to the Future, Lisa ascends to the presidency following a catastrophic Trump administration. Not only did this episode predate Donald Trump's real-world presidency by 16 years, it also stirred conversations about the United States electing its first female leader. While the country hasn't crossed that threshold yet, figures like Hillary Clinton and Kamala Harris have come close. The Simpsons didn't just predict the possibility. It visualized a future where a woman inherits a broken economy and has to restore order. It's a powerful image, one that still resonates as we move toward more inclusive political representation. Environmental disasters. In the Simpsons movie, Springfield is placed under a glass dome after an environmental catastrophe caused by pollution. The town's careless waste disposal leads to government intervention and ecological ruin. What makes this story stand out is its eerie relevance to current climate debates. The imagery of a sealed-off, suffocating environment resonates in an era of wildfires, floods, and global warming. Today, cities and nations are grappling with the fallout from environmental neglect. The dome might be fictional, but the consequences are very real, and The Simpsons was ahead of its time in sounding the alarm. Ivanka Trump's presidential campaign. A flash-forward joke in one of the Tree House of Horror specials shows a Vote Ivanka 2028 campaign sign, poking fun at political dynasties. Though meant as a gag, it taps into the public's increasing acceptance of celebrity politicians and the blurred lines between fame and governance. Ivanka has held political office in her father's administration and retains a large public following. The idea that she, or another family member, might run for president isn't far-fetched. The Simpsons' satirical jab suddenly seems like a plausible headline. Bart to the Future also presents characters communicating via holograms, a prediction that sits comfortably in the realm of possibility today. Companies like Microsoft and Meta have introduced experimental mixed reality platforms that use 3D projections. Imagine FaceTiming your family via a hologram in your living room. Something that once belonged in sci-fi is now under active development. The Simpsons took a humorous approach, but the tech world has taken it seriously. Whether it's for calls, concerts, or business meetings, holographic communication is no longer just fantasy. Mind control through music. In New Kids on the Bletch, Springfield's newest boy band turns out to be a military propaganda machine using subliminal messages. While obviously exaggerated, this storyline satirizes how media and pop culture can shape public perception and behavior. The idea of music, movies, and influencers subtly, or not so subtly, pushing political agendas has become a hot topic in media studies. From TikTok dances with embedded symbolism to government-sponsored YouTube creators, the episode's core idea that entertainment can be used to steer minds is increasingly relevant. Merging of media giants. In Lisa's Wedding, the news network is a merger of CNN, NBC, and CBS, CNNB-CBS. It was a tongue-in-cheek jab at corporate consolidation in media. Fast forward to today, and we've seen Disney acquire Fox, Warner Brothers merge with Discovery, and Amazon buy MGM. The media landscape is shrinking into a handful of conglomerates. While the show used humor, the warning is serious. Less diversity in ownership often means fewer viewpoints, more control, and potentially less journalistic integrity. The prediction wasn't just about logos merging. It was about how information itself might be monopolized. Smartwatches. In Lisa's Wedding, Lisa's fiancé casually speaks into his wrist device, which functions as both a watch and a phone. At the time, it was a clever gag, an absurd vision of the future. But fast forward 2 decades and smartwatches are now mainstream. Devices like the Apple Watch and Samsung Galaxy Watch can place calls, send texts, track health, and more. What makes this prediction so compelling is not just the technology, but how casually it's integrated into daily life in the episode. Just like today. The Simpsons didn't just show the gadget, they showed how it would blend into the background, a detail that shows just how deep their future forecasting really goes. Robot librarians. In the same episode, Lisa visits a library staffed entirely by robotic assistants. The idea is presented with classic Simpsons flair, glitchy, emotionless, and hilariously bureaucratic. But underneath the humor is a strong truth. Automation is coming for all industries, even those traditionally viewed as deeply human. Libraries and schools today use AI chatbots for research assistance, automated checkouts, and book sorting. With AI systems like ChatGPT already disrupting education, the idea of fully automated knowledge centers doesn't seem far-fetched anymore. The Simpsons raised the question before many of us were even considering it. What happens when human touch is replaced with code? Legalization of marijuana in Canada. In Midnight RX, Homer smuggles prescription drugs from Canada to help Springfield's elderly, but one scene hints at the relaxed nature of drug laws up north. The background humor and dialogue allude to marijuana legalization, a policy Canada officially adopted in 2018. At the time the episode aired, this was still a radical idea. But The Simpsons once again tapped into a future policy shift. Their satire of international pharmaceutical ethics turned out to be a sly hint at changing public perceptions of controlled substances. Legal cannabis is now a global conversation, and The Simpsons was, perhaps unknowingly, on the front line of prediction. NSA surveillance. The Simpsons movie includes a scene where Marge and Homer's private conversation is being monitored by a massive NSA surveillance hub. At the time, it was a joke poking fun at Big Brother-style paranoia. But in 2013, Edward Snowden's leaks revealed that the NSA had been collecting mass amounts of data from civilians, vindicating concerns about government overreach. What was once a joke about tinfoil hats became an actual policy scandal. This prediction wasn't just about spying, it was about trust. The Simpsons nailed the fear that our devices, governments, and even entertainment platforms might one day be listening. Faulty voting machines. In Treehouse of Horror 99, Homer tries to vote for Barack Obama, but the machine changes his vote to John McCain. It's a quick gag, but incredibly pointed. Years later, multiple elections featured claims of vote manipulation via electronic voting machines. While most of these claims lacked evidence, the fact that this idea was planted in a Simpsons episode before it became a public controversy is impressive. The episode comments on how blind faith in new technology can be dangerous, especially when it comes to democracy. The joke now feels like a headline ripped from recent years. Disney's acquisition of Fox. Back in 1998's When You Dish Upon a Star, a throwaway gag features a sign that reads 20th Century Fox, a division of Walt Disney Company. At the time, the idea of Disney owning Fox seemed absurd. Fox was edgy, Disney was wholesome. But in 2019, the merger actually happened. Disney purchased 21st Century Fox for over $70 billion, altering the entertainment landscape forever. This wasn't just a funny one-liner, it was a bullseye prediction about media consolidation and Disney's growing empire. And the fact that this came from a show owned by Fox makes it all the more surreal in hindsight. The Higgs boson equation. In The Wizard of Evergreen Terrace, Homer becomes an inventor and scribbles a formula on a chalkboard. Years later, physicists discovered that the equation he wrote is shockingly close to the actual formula for the Higgs boson particle, also known as the God particle. While some argue it was a coincidence, others point out that Simpsons writers have included several PhD-level mathematicians and scientists over the years. This was more than a random joke. It was a mathematically informed prediction tucked inside a slapstick comedy moment. Who knew Homer might have had a Nobel-worthy equation hiding in his doodles? Ebola outbreak. In the episode Lisa's Sacks, Marge offers Bart a book titled Curious George and the Ebola Virus. When the episode aired in the 1990s, Ebola was a relatively obscure disease with minimal global awareness. But the 2014 outbreak in West Africa brought it into international headlines, causing widespread panic. Many fans looked back at this moment as eerie foreshadowing. While not a direct prediction, it highlighted how The Simpsons often pulls obscure references into mainstream discourse, sometimes years before the world is ready to pay attention to them. Greece's economic collapse. In the episode Politically Inept with Homer Simpson, a news ticker on the bottom of the screen flashes a headline, Europe puts Greece on eBay. It was a throwaway joke about debt crises, but shortly after the episode aired, Greece plunged into real economic turmoil, triggering a global financial scare. The accuracy wasn't in the eBay joke, but in the broader call-out of a European debt disaster. The Simpsons once again picked up on real-world vulnerabilities and exaggerated them in a way that eventually rang true. The Shard in London. In Lisa's Wedding, Lisa visits London, where the skyline includes a distinct glass skyscraper resembling the Shard. despite the episode airing 14 years before the real building was completed. The design and placement of the structure in the episode are almost identical to the real-world tower, which opened in 2012. While it's possible this was just a futuristic take on urban development, the detail is too specific to ignore. Once again, The Simpsons illustrated a part of the future that somehow found its way into our present. Three-eyed fish. In the classic episode 2 Cars in Every Garage and 3 Eyes on Every Fish, Bart catches a mutated three-eyed fish named Blinky near the Springfield nuclear power plant. While this seems like classic cartoon exaggeration, it became frighteningly real when fishermen in Argentina caught a three-eyed fish near a nuclear facility in 2011. The coincidence shook fans of the show who remembered the episode. While mutations in animals near radiation zones are scientifically plausible, the visual accuracy between Blinky and the real fish was uncanny. It underscored The Simpsons' knack for blending surrealism with scientific possibility. National currency collapse. In The Full Monty, news breaks that the US dollar is now worthless, prompting mass panic and financial ruin. While clearly exaggerated for comedic effect, the prediction that a once stable national currency could collapse is now a regular talking point among economists, especially as inflation rises and cryptocurrencies gain traction. In a world where financial institutions are increasingly digitized, what would a total collapse look like? The Simpsons gave us a ridiculous, but oddly plausible preview. Nobel Prize winner. In Elementary School Musical, Lisa's friends create a betting pool on Nobel Prize winners, and Milhouse picks MIT economics professor Bengt Holmstrom. Years later, in 2016, Holmstrom actually won the Nobel Prize in economics. The odds of that happening? Astronomically low. The writers have said it was a lucky guess, but it shows once again how even the wildest background jokes in The Simpsons can come true. It also adds to the lore that the show's creative team includes scientists, economists, and mathematicians who sometimes embed real theories and thinkers into the show. In Lisa's Wedding, Lisa chats with her mom via a video call using what looks like a flat-screen TV with webcam capabilities. Today, that's practically how we live. Zoom, FaceTime, Skype, and Teams have turned video chat from science fiction into an everyday tool. The episode didn't just show the tech, it showed how it would become a casual part of daily conversation. Now we take video calls for granted, but back in 1995, this was pure futuristic gold. It's yet another instance of The Simpsons accurately capturing a massive digital shift. 25th COVID-19 pandemic and murder hornets. In the 1993 episode Marge in Chains, Springfield is hit by the Osaka flu, a virus that spreads through coughing delivery workers. Citizens riot over a cure, only to accidentally unleash a swarm of killer bees. Fast forward to 2020. The COVID-19 pandemic hits, and headlines about murder hornets capture public attention at the same time. While not a perfect match, the eerie similarity in tone, content, and reaction left fans in disbelief. Once again, The Simpsons seem to compress future catastrophes into a 22-minute cartoon, years before they occurred. Virtual teachers. In various future set episodes, The Simpsons portray classrooms run by robots or entirely virtual interfaces. Given the rise of AI-powered tutors, Zoom schooling during the pandemic, and the use of machine learning in education apps, this prediction is no longer far-fetched. In fact, it's already here. AI is grading papers, helping students with assignments, and even running parts of classrooms in some schools. The Simpsons asked what would happen if education became fully automated, and now we're slowly starting to answer that question. Self-driving cars. In The Fat and the Furriest, Homer is seen relaxing while his car drives itself, clearly uninterested in steering. While the moment is played for laughs, it closely mirrors what we're seeing today with autonomous vehicles. Tesla, Waymo, and Uber have invested billions into making self-driving cars a reality. The Simpsons were not just predicting a piece of tech, They were commenting on how lazily and blindly humans might adopt it. That dual-layer satire is what makes this show's predictions hit even harder when they come true. Brain uploading and consciousness transfer. In the Halloween episode Treehouse of Horror 26, Mr. Burns attempts to achieve immortality by uploading his consciousness into a robot. Though intended as a Halloween horror spoof, the idea of digital immortality is very real. Companies like Neuralink and tech futurists like Ray Kurzweil have floated the idea that one day we'll be able to map the human brain and upload it to a computer. The episode asks, with eerie foresight, what happens when your body dies, but your mind continues on? It's speculative science, but The Simpsons put it in our heads before Silicon Valley did. Food delivered by drones. You Don't Have to Live Like a Referee briefly shows a drone flying by with a food package, a flash of future logistics that we now see almost daily. Amazon, Google, and other tech firms have tested drone delivery services. The efficiency and speed make it appealing, especially in rural areas. What began as a 2-second gag has become a billion-dollar logistics industry. The Simpsons struck again, highlighting a tech revolution long before it had wings. Environmental disasters. In the Simpsons movie, Springfield is placed under a glass dome after an environmental catastrophe caused by pollution. The town's careless waste disposal leads to government intervention and ecological ruin. What makes this story stand out is its eerie relevance to current climate debates. The imagery of a sealed-off, suffocating environment resonates in an era of wildfires, floods, and global warming. Today, cities and nations are grappling with the fallout from environmental neglect. The dome might be fictional, but the consequences are very real, and The Simpsons was ahead of its time in sounding the alarm. Legalization of marijuana in Canada. In Midnight RX, Homer smuggles prescription drugs from Canada to help Springfield's elderly, but one scene hints at the relaxed nature of drug laws up north. The background humor and dialogue allude to marijuana legalization, a policy Canada officially adopted in 2018. At the time the episode aired, this was still a radical idea. But The Simpsons once again tapped into a future policy shift. Their satire of international pharmaceutical ethics turned out to be a sly hint at changing public perceptions of controlled substances. Legal cannabis is now a global conversation, and The Simpsons was, perhaps unknowingly, on the front line of prediction.